This is Arthur Robinson Jr. I am the creator and host of the Powerful Interviews podcast show. Today, you're going to experience life-changing information that you will not find anywhere else. I have secured an incredible interview with a great friend of mine, successful businessman, the multi-millionaire. He specializes in buying multifamily properties. His name is Mark Shapiro. Mark Shapiro is the founder and CEO of Shapiro Capital. And in this interview, you're going to hear exclusively how Mark Shapiro, he breaks down layman's terms of how you can buy multifamily properties. Also, Mark Shapiro, he breaks down layman's terms of how you can build a phenomenal team for your real estate business. And also in this interview, he breaks down layman's terms about Donald Trump and the policies that he's going to endorse and much, much more. So remember, this is not BS information. The right information will change your current situation. Wealthy people take advice from other wealthy people, and unfortunately, broke people take advice from broke people. So right about now, go get your pen and your pad, sit back and relax, and write down some notes. In this interview that I'm going to reveal to each and every one of you with my great friend, successful businessman. He specializes in buying multifamily properties. His name is Mark Shapiro. This interview, it will change your life. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you'll be well informed when I publish more business interviews. So check it out. I'd like to welcome the one, the only, the powerful Mark Shapiro to the show.
Arthur, that was way too amazing. Thank you. It's actually my blessing to be on your podcast with you because you're the amazing one. So thank you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the wonderful compliments. And I would like to thank you once again, Mark Shapiro, for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the audience worldwide about the power of multifamily properties and about the power of creating wealth. I gladly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm here. I'm an open book. Ask me whatever you got.
To everyone that's listening and watching right now, I highly recommend go and get your pen and your pad right now. My great friend Mark Shapiro is going to break down layman's terms about how to make money in multifamily properties, and we're going to have a dialogue about the power of creating wealth. Is that correct, Mark?
Yes, absolutely. Amen. Amen.
Now, what I'd like to know, and can you explain to the audience in layman's terms, who is the phenomenal Mark Shapiro? How long you been in your powerful industry, and what is your expertise?
Well, my expertise, I'll start at the back end and work my way forward. My expertise is I'm in the multifamily space. I've done over 25,000 apartments, and that equates to somewhere north of about $5 billion worth of transactions. We either build a product, we buy an existing product and renovate it and stabilize it. And we are actually in a few different markets. We do what's called for sale. So we build deals that are vertical and we sell them. You would know those as condominiums. And then we also do single family build to rent, but we do them in larger scale communities, a couple hundred homes at a time. Who I am is I am the son of Dr. Paul A. Shapiro, and my mother was Carolyn Shapiro, and the grandson of Milton Shapiro and Eli left. And I was blessed to have two grandfathers that were real estate guys, and I was blessed to have two uncles that were real estate guys, and I was blessed to have a father who was a dentist but was my first investor. And my mother was also a commercial real estate broker. So I grew up in the space. I cut grass. I learned how to change hot water heaters. I learned how to spackle. I learned how to bang a nail. We learned how to paint apartments. I did everything as a kid growing up. And I never knew that we actually owned the properties. I just thought, I was earning extra money with my dad. And I come from a humble family. We are not by any means well off, but we were a good, solid middle class family. My father's values was all about helping his community, and he and my mother instilled that in me. I have four daughters. I have an amazing partner. Her name is Gabriella. My four daughters' names are Sarah, Madison, Carly, and Isabella. And Isabella is the youngest. She's pretty much a rebel. She's in her sophomore year of college. The other girls are all graduated college, a couple of graduated law school, and real estate has been really good to me. And my relationship with God has carried me through the tough times, and He's carried me on His back when I couldn't carry myself.
Mm. Now, your grandfather was also a real estate developer. What's the difference between a real estate developer versus a man or a woman that just want to purely generate profits by being a real estate investor? What would you say is the recipe, and what differentiates a real estate developer from a real estate investor?
Well, I'm going to say they're both very, very similar because an investor has to understand his craft. They have to understand the deals. They have to understand the markets, and they have to also understand how they're going to create appreciation, force value, stabilize it, and do it again. A developer, he looks at a piece of real estate and he finds the highest and best use. So what we do at Shapiro Capital is we teach people how to start off with a 1 to 4 family. We teach them how to do it with very little capital or none. And then hopefully they'll want to grow into the multifamily space, which is extremely sustainable and extremely scalable. So developer and investors, they're taking risks. They're getting out on a limb. They're getting out of their comfort zone, and they're very similar. They're very similar. Development can be expensive, and it can be also riskier. And I always tell my students that numbers don't lie; only people lie. Brokers are full of crap a lot of the time, but then when you find a good broker, they will make you a fortune. They will help you grow your business.
Now, for the entrepreneurs and business owners that are in your network that own multifamily properties, is it true when you
Yeah,
increase the NOI, the net operating income, you increase the value to that commercial property?
100%, 100%. So
Mm.
everything is based in real estate. It's on numbers, and it's also on data. And numbers are linear; they don't lie. Okay, data is all out there. It doesn't lie, and you become a student of understanding the statistical data in the markets that you're working in, and then you start to build relationships, and from those relationships you start to find deals, and from those deals you start to leverage up your network. And I think Andrew Tate says this: your network is your net worth. Okay. I do actually comment on his stuff a lot. I always tell him put his shirt on, but I will tell you that he's right. He's definitely right. And in this business, when you start, it seems like it's very daunting. But if you start step by step, and people always say, how do you eat an elephant? And you do it one bite at a time. Or how do you take a journey of 1,000 miles? It's one step at a time. So in real estate, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and it's slow, pragmatic movement. You build a strong foundation. You stick to what you're doing. You stick to what you know. You never take a square peg and stick it in a round hole. You always stay focused, and numbers will help you to stay focused.
Mm. Now, I know in real estate you have to have a specialized team, especially when
Mm-hmm.
you are investing in multifamily properties, where they're going to help you maximize and scale your portfolio.
Yes.
Now, I know you have low income, middle income, and upper income properties. So no
Mhm.
matter what property you're willing to purchase, the property is going to fall into one of those three categories.
Correct, correct.
What would you say is the wealth blueprint for entrepreneurs and business owners to basically master the multifamily property game? Now, I know I have people in my pipeline where they are real estate investors, but they don't have a real estate license. And I know
You don't
that,
need don't need you
years
don't need one,
ago,
Arthur.
people absolutely. Absolutely. And I know, years ago, people really thought that you had to take that route with, getting your real estate license. Let's say you work for, Century 21 or you work for Remax, you know, they're getting their feet wet, so to speak, where they're doing floor duty and things of that nature while they're in the
Yep.
office. What mistakes are you seeing entrepreneurs are making when they invest in multifamily properties?
In most cases, deals either fail for two reasons. One, you picked the wrong partner, or two, you went into the deal
Mhm.
undercapitalized and you looked at a set of numbers and a broker sold you on a set of numbers and they sold you on an idea. And if you don't understand what you're doing and if you don't understand the market, these commercial brokers will eat you alive. So you have to actually have
Mm.
understanding and you have to have the ability to say to the broker, well, I don't agree with you. And here's why I don't agree with you. And you have to be able to deduce what's right and what's wrong. And that is very easy because today we have access to data because of these things. And the data is everywhere. You just have to go out and do the research. And that data is going to either prove whether the deal is going to work or the deal is not going to work. Then comes the actual stack for the capital, which calls the capital stack. And you have to make sure that you are properly capitalized because a lot of new investors, they make money. They reinvest it, they make more money. Then all of a sudden they're worth a few $1,000,000 and they're like, okay, I'm going to buy this deal. It's 200 apartments. And they go into it, they tie it up, and they have a tough time raising the money. They go to friends and family and they're short, but they still push forward and they close it. And the moment that the deal is running in the negative, that's when they start to struggle. And then because of what happened in the last 36 to 48 months, where the Fed raised rates 14 times in that period of time, people would buy a property at one level and debt is at a one level and the rates are at one level. So you can, with lower cost of debt, you can buy more of a property. Now the debt went up. So the value of the property comes down based on the income. And all these banks would go to these buyers and say, look, you're underwater by $5 million on your loan. You got to stroke me a check. These people can't stroke a check. So that's why we have roughly somewhere around $3 trillion of bad deals out there on the bank's balance sheet. And quite frankly,
Mm.
when President Obama, who I think one of the greatest things he did was rescuing the banks, because we would have been a very different America today if he didn't do that. And then these two senators, a senator from Massachusetts, Barry Frank, and a senator from Connecticut, Chris Dodd, they created a bill called Dodd-Frank. And Dodd-Frank was how banks examine their balance sheets, and they changed it all. So this could never happen. But what they did was they created the same thing pre-1986 tax law change, and it's happening today. And today is going to be the greatest opportunity. This new administration is going to come in. The economy rates are not going to come down like this. They're going to come down nice and methodical and slow. And then there's going to be incentives from a tax standpoint. Uh, the next president, President Trump, is going to do everything he can to stimulate the economy. And then he's going to do a whole bunch of other things, close our borders, stop some of the things that I am actually grateful for what he's doing. So, and for me, I just compared his tax plan versus Kamala's tax plan, and I said, okay, which tax plan is best for the American people and my family? And one was very, very different, and the other one was very, very good. So, but I also know the guy too. So, and he's actually, he says stupid shit, but he's actually not a bad guy at all. He's a good father, good grandfather. He's tall. His hair's funny looking when you see him in person. So,
Well, wow. Well, the one thing I did like about Donald Trump is he went to the UN, and he's the first president went to the UN to say, listen, you have all this money over here. Y'all need to bring this money over here in the States. And a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and even the new millennials, they were actually generating new income during the pandemic. So I love that about them.
did you ever hear this story, Arthur, about Trump? I heard the story. I don't know if it's factual. I've seen it before. Okay. And I don't know if it was the Hamas leader or the Hezbollah leader, but he had a meeting with them and he sat with them and he said to him, look, I'd like for you to stop with all these bombings, this bloodshed, and all these things on any U.S. citizens. And the interpreter spoke, and he said, and by the way, if a single American, a hair on a single American's head is hurt, he said, and he reaches in his pocket, he pulls out a picture, he says, here's where your family lives. Your family won't exist anymore. And he got up and left. So for 18 months, there was never anything. So I respect somebody that has big freaking balls, because in the real estate business, when you go out and borrow 100, 200, $500 million, when you're doing these mega deals, bro, trust me, I still get nervous today. I still do. Even though I put in all the safeguards, I get nervous. So
now earlier you talked about capitalization. Now I know capitalization, that's just a formula for yielding money. So the higher the cap rate is, the lower the purchase price would be on that multifamily property. But the lower the cap rate is, the higher the purchase price would be for that multifamily property. Is that correct?
Correct. So we want to buy at a high cap and we want to sell at a lower cap, because at a lower cap, we're going to generate a higher purchase price. At a higher cap, we're going to buy it at a lower purchase price. It's like bonds and interest rate. They're inverse. Bonds go up, rates go down. Rates go up, bonds go down. So it's all a balancing act.
So when you purchase in multifamily properties, the underwriter that is on that particular deal is basically going to be your best friend, because they want to make sure that that deal finalizes. Would that be accurate?
So we underwrite all of our deals. I have a team in my family office, and my lead underwriter, and he's now a partner on a recent deal. His name is Ben, and he's a 26-year-old kid. He runs circles around all my older guys, and he thinks like me. When we look at a deal, the first thing we want to do is we always want it to be on current income. We always want it to be on our trailing 3 months, which is a T3. That's your last 90 days. And then we'll scale it from there. When we scale it, we will only grow our rents a very small portion, somewhere between 2.5% and 3%. And then when we grow expenses, we tie those to CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, and we'll grow our expenses. So we're only seeing a net income expense increase somewhere in 50 to sometimes 75 basis points, which a basis point is 1. So a quarter point is 25 basis points. So 100 basis points is 1%. So we try to grow our rents in a very methodical fashion, because we're a long-term player. But when we buy a deal, that's been distressed, we force the appreciation through buying it at a discount, then reducing the taxes, then going in and doing a cost segmentation study, then going in and taking the utilities and pushing them through either a separation process, a build back process, which is called a RUBS. It's called a resident unit billing system, RUBS. And we push that all back into the rent. So that way we can move our rents. And then we typically like to buy a deal that through a strategic capital improvement, we can grow that property and then stabilize it. And then we'll refinance it, and then we'll roll that money into a new deal.
So the marketplace dictates the rent rates in that local or geographic area.
Absolutely. 100%. Yep. Yeah, the data is there. Market's not going to lie to you. People lie.
So for entrepreneurs and real estate investors, they are still buying multifamily properties so they can maximize their portfolios. Is it good to purchase a multifamily property where you're going to do the least amount of work, but it gives you the most cosmetic improvement? Would that be accurate?
It all depends. Okay, so we at this point, I'm 64. We do not buy properties that are C properties or C plus properties. We only buy in the B to A category. When we buy an A, they actually are more expensive to operate because you have to provide more services for the higher end resident. But when we buy a B, and they use this word workforce housing, I call it blue collar housing. And we typically will try to take that, we'll make it a higher level blue collar or a beginning white collar mentality. And what does that mean? That means it's based on a credit score. So we use credit scores to underwrite our resident profile. When we buy a deal, we do what's called a lease abstract, and it will tell us what each lease is and what the income is for each resident, whether they're paying or they're on eviction. So we verify everything when we buy deals. Then we plug it into our model, and then we figure out how we're going to value add that deal. When we buy an A deal, we try to buy it at a substantial discount to the market. So we just recently bought a deal that the highest and best use for the deal is to do a condo conversion. So we paid $70 million for the deal, and with our interest reserve and our conversion costs and so forth, we're at about 106, but our sellout is north of 200 million. And that deal happens to be in California. We just bought a deal from the old Silicon Valley Bank in Houston. And we bought that deal at an 11 cap out the door, day one. And we'll do a little cleanup on the deal. And that deal we are not going to keep. We're going to sell it because it's in a market that we don't feel is evolving. We feel the market is stagnant, and we're not going to keep an asset long term in that market. But we did this deal so we'd have access to their failed portfolio, and now we have 3 more deals we're buying from them. We buy our deals very differently than how Mr. Cardone does it. I think he is, I don't agree with his philosophy, but I think he's the most amazing marketeer or carnival barker I've ever seen. P.T. Barnum said, you're going to put your head above the crowd. Someone's going to throw a tomato at it. And I'm sure there are people that take shots at me because I'm very vocal. But I'm a private guy. It's my own money. It's nobody's business telling me how to live my life. I'm not an ostentatious person. I typically fly commercial. We do have the ability to fly private, but if my whole crew's not coming with me, then I don't do it. I don't mind going to the airport. I don't mind, going through TSA. I am grateful to have all these people that are trying to protect us. So I don't think I'm better than anybody else, and I know I'm not better than anybody else. So that's why I was raised super conservative. You know, you don't
Mm,
see me showing you what I have or where I live or what I do. You know, so
mm. Now, when you're in the market, Mark, when you want to purchase a new project, which would be a multifamily property, let's say it's a 300 unit or 400 unit building, do
yep.
you buy multifamily properties that have good subdivisions in that area?
So every deal we underwrite on an individual basis. Every deal that we underwrite. So we take the individual asset and then we understand the sub market, and then that tertiary market grows into the primary market, and we see where the growth factors are. And
Mm,
we there are a lot of markets that are growing markets, like state of Florida is growing in leaps and bounds, and housing is very expensive
mm,
here because we are the number one migration state in the country. The state of Texas is another great state. Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Virginia. We like all those markets. Ohio. So we buy in all those different markets, and I pretty
mm,
much stay away from blue states because the blue states can have a very arduous landlord tenant laws, and they can
mm,
be difficult. We are in the business of getting paid for providing housing, which is one of the three
mm,
necessities: food, clothing, and shelter. But when people don't pay us, we need a remedy, and we don't want to be in a state like New York where it may take us 18 months to evict somebody. So,
mm.
but because we underwrite our
Wow.
residents so heavily, we have a lower turnover rate because turnover is very costly in the apartment business. Because every time somebody leaves, you've
Mm,
got to turn the apartment over, clean it out, do the maintenance, paint it, do the flooring, okay, make sure the appliances are working, and then go through the process of re-renting it. So you have a down unit that could have it for 30, 60, or 90 days.
mm, mm.
So,
Now, do you and your team, do y'all do international investing? Do y'all invest in multifamily
nope.
properties like in Switzerland or Dubai? Okay.
No, we get
All right.
pitch deals all the time outside of the country. We just don't do it. I love this
Mm,
country. I think it's the greatest
mm,
country in the world, and I want to be here. So,
mm. Wow. Now, how do you feel about cost segregation and 1031 exchanges? And do you think that for active real estate investors, do you think that's a good strategy for them to take advantage of the potential upside?
so I'll attack the Section 1031 like kind exchange. That is something that we all use. Typically, if we are selling an asset, which we don't particularly like to sell assets, we like to hold on to them and refinance them, because that is also tax deferred. The 1031 can be sometimes difficult when you have that first 45 days to identify and then 135 to get it closed. And so we do use that as a strategy so that we can go and roll up into a bigger asset. But we typically will buy a deal, stabilize it, create value, and then refinance it, take those proceeds, use them for something else. On cost segregation,
Mm,
I believe that the new president is going to change the bonus depreciation. So cost segregation is a necessity in the multifamily space. And if you didn't hear it from me, but you could look it up. It looks like you're going to have a 60 to 75% bonus depreciation. So if you invest $1 in a deal, you're going to get 70 cents as a write-off against adjusted gross
mm,
income. Why wouldn't you do that? Because then you're just trading 30 cents for $1. I mean, it's like when you buy a
mm,
car that is, or a truck that's 6,000 pounds. You can write a check for it, and then you can deduct that exact check against your adjusted gross income. So the car actually costs you nothing. Assuming you have that tax
Wow.
liability. So, and smart investors need to be more astute on the tax laws because they're very helpful.
Now, I know as an entrepreneur and a business owner, basically the Internal Revenue Tax Code is your best friend because the IRS, they love entrepreneurs that are doing business the right way.
Yep.
How do you feel about asset protection, and how do you protect your assets from lawsuits?
So that's I know this is a crazy word. It's called obfuscation. If you look it up, it means the opposite of the obvious. Okay, so understanding tax planning and understanding protection is essential when you start to become a real estate investor. So you have to protect your assets because you work too damn hard. And let's say you own a property in your own name and somebody in a market like Philadelphia, and there's a snowstorm, and then it rains, and then the sidewalks are icy, and somebody's walking and they slip and fall. God forbid they hurt themselves. You are liable, even though you have property and casualty insurance, you're still liable. And I'll tell you about a crazy story. When I was a young investor, I had a property, and we get a knock on the door, and it's a sheriff's knock. And I'm newly married, and been married like a year and a half, and we had built this beautiful house, and the knock on the door is a lawsuit, and they're suing my wife because the house was in her name, because that's how we protected the house back then. And so they sued her, and I'm like, who is this Angel something? And I'm like, I have no idea who this is. And then I start to read the complaint, and he was actually a resident in a property that we own. And he fell off the third floor balcony and killed himself. So I'm like, okay. So the first thing I do is I call my lawyer and I get him the lawsuit, because back then you can't email stuff. You got to go drive it down. Okay. And then he does a little investigation. He calls our insurance company, and the property and casualty company had to defend it. So they begin to defend the process. And if I didn't say at the time, they actually put a lien on the house because of this. Back then, they could do what's called a PJR, prejudgment remedy lien. Laws have changed a little bit. It's much harder to lien a property now. So we went through this thing for almost 19 months. And then one day I get a call from my lawyer, and he said, we were able to get the lawsuit dismissed with prejudice. And I'm like, why? I thought we were going to trial. And he said, well, the private investigative firm that we hired was able to determine that this person was actually not a resident in the property, and the person actually died from AIDS. And it was an unscrupulous lawyer who actually saw that we had these assets, and he was going to try to reach into our pocket. And the insurance company paid quite a bit for the defense and to find this out. And this stuff happens all the time. So asset protection is totally essential. When you buy your first deal, you form an LLC in the state that you buy it in. When you buy your first deal, you create a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust in either Wyoming or Delaware, and you start protecting your assets like that. Because what happens is the business scales rapidly. When you start to learn this, and then you fall in love with this business, it's addictive. You're just doing it all the time.
So you want to enjoy everything and control everything, but own nothing, especially when it comes to lawsuits and protecting your assets. You want to be in the safe zone as much as possible. And you always want to have an exit strategy.
Yeah, there's too many damn lawyers in the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's how they make money by, lawsuits. It's actually what they went
Yeah,
to school for.
yeah.
Now,
And they
you have a
and
degree.
they're not really good at telling the truth either, Arthur.
Mm,
That's why I don't trust the criminal
I
justice
agree with
system.
you.
That's why I don't trust prosecutors or U.S.
Mhm.
attorneys. I think they're all liars. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
Mm,
sure they're honest ones. I mean, I know a few at my temple that are honest,
mhm,
that are retired, but
mhm,
so
mhm, mm. Now, you have a degree in accounting,
mhm.
and how do you feel about college? Now, to me personally, I think if you're going to college to be a scientist or a lawyer or a doctor, then it's a necessity. But if you want to be a successful real estate investor or a successful entrepreneur, I don't really think you need college. I think college is a big scam. And the word scam stands for, some people is still confused about
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
So, how
It's
do you
so
feel
true.
about college? And do you think entrepreneurs really need college to really succeed in regards to entrepreneurship?
So, an entrepreneur has a certain ability inside themselves to be driven, motivated, and drive through failure. So, and
Mm,
if you're not going to be a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer or a scientist or an engineer, you don't really need college. I think it's a big scam. And
mm,
although all my kids have gone to college, two of them became lawyers. They don't practice law anymore. They actually have a food channel that they eat
mm,
food every day. And
mm,
uh, as an accountant, I never used my degree. I use it, in
mm,
understanding numbers, but numbers are basic math. Figure out an NOI. It's basic math.
mm,
It's your adjusted income
mm,
versus your expenses. There's your net operating income. That's simple. So
mm,
I completely agree with you. I think it's a scam. The only good thing that college does for most people is it gives them a little discipline. It gives them 4 years to figure out who they are. It forces them to show up
mm,
and complete a set of tasks on a daily basis, and then continue to do that for 4 years. That's all college is.
mm. I agree with you. College does showcase discipline, but I think the ultimate teachers is the mother and fathers, and the morals and the value systems that they actually put into their children. If the mother and father is entrepreneur, most likely the sons and daughters are actually going to basically follow their footsteps, so to speak. There may be certain cases where their children may step outside the box and want to do their own thing, but kids, they don't go about what you tell them, they go about what you show them. And I think that entrepreneurs are actually changing the world. And you are actually
Couldn't
changing
agree
the
with you
world
more.
too, Mark, with you're actually changing the world with educating people on how they can actually generate real money by being a real estate investor. Let's switch gears a little bit. And I know we covered a lot of ground about multifamily properties, about disciplines, and about having the right mindset. Now, I know money is not value. Money is just a facilitator to do transactions. Can you explain to the audience how would you define money?
Well, money is fungible. It doesn't know where it comes from. It doesn't know where it goes. It doesn't have a personality. It's incumbent upon people who do well to use it to help other people. And there's definitely a division in social classes. And it's necessary because when you get to a certain level, you can only spend so much money. You can only go on so many trips. You can only go shopping so much. So what you need to do is you need to take that money and you need to do good with it. We do not do good and show it in front of people. We do everything we do anonymously. You need to use that to create a better sense of community. because there are people that need your help. And that for me, and finding my ability to teach, which I didn't know I could do that, has become my actual true passion. Money comes and goes. I've been a rich man, and I've been, under my definition, broke. I would tell you, I choose to have money. It's much easier. It makes life easier. It makes, when you pull out your card, you don't think about, you know, whether you're going to go to Starbucks, which I happen to be in. And I went through a period where I wouldn't buy their coffee because I thought the price was too high and it was obnoxious. And then I felt I needed a coffee, so I came to Starbucks. I was actually going to a McDonald's. Their coffee's pretty good, but I saw the Starbucks here in the Target, so I just came in here. So I was raised, you know, by an old-fashioned family, old-fashioned values. If you know, what kind of car you buy, you can afford. You don't finance it. So if you have $2,000, you buy a $2,000 car. You need to make sure that, you know, if you're going to rent an apartment or buy a house, it's only 1/3 of your income. So you need to make sure that everything that you do is reasonable and sets you up for success. And a lot of real estate investors, they get enamored with the fact that they can go buy themselves a Mercedes or a Porsche or a Lamborghini, and they think that they're better than everybody else. I will tell you, it stinks when you go to the bathroom. It's all the same. Okay. You're not smarter. You're not more handsome. You're not taller. Okay. Okay. If you have more money, it doesn't make you a better person. And I had to learn that the hard way, and going through difficulties, and then realizing that my friends were my friends since I was a child because they were my friends. And those were the relationships that I cherish because they did not only know my story, they lived my story, and vice versa. So, I mean, I have friends that I've been friends with since I was 8. This morning, before I drove across, because I'm actually going to have a late lunch with my 89-year-old uncle. He made homemade chicken soup. And we talk about business. We talk about deals. He taught me so much. And he's the most wonderful, amazing guy. And I do it once a month, and it's actually, you know, he's like another father to me. So my father's no longer alive. He passed away a while ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I want to say a prayer for your father. You
Thank
said
you. Thank
that
you.
money comes and goes. You're welcome. You said that money comes and goes. So would you say that money is the byproduct of the value that you uncover?
100%. 100%. People don't realize that $100 to you or I means nothing, but if you hand $100 to another person, it changes their life. It changes their week. It changes everything that they're doing. They may not have money for food. That money for food may make a whole difference in their whole world. So it's super
Absolutely.
important.
Mark, I appreciate you coming on my show today because the whole premise of my show is to educate entrepreneurs and business owners on a national and international scale that they can live the life that they truly desire, but they have to be open to these important principles. So I don't like what I see what's on the news, so I create my own news.
The news is full of shit. I just did a video. It's my favorite video. Every time I like a video and I think I do a good job on it, it does shitty. Okay, but it's a question. It's a take off of the show, broadcast news or the news network, and it's Jeff Daniels saying that this America is not the greatest country in the world. Okay, and this country used to stand for things. We used to be good to one another. We didn't fight a war on poverty, or we didn't fight a war on poor people. We fought a war on poverty. We helped people. Okay. We had integrity. The news media was full of good information. They informed us of what was true. Today, they manipulate us and they make us look at a thing in a different way. So I'm blessed to have met you. Please, when you're down here in South Florida, I would love to either have you come over the house, and my wife will make dinner for you. We'll sit out by the pool, or we'll go out for a nice steak or something. You tell me, and just let me know, and I'll let you meet Adrian too. He's a good kid.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I definitely want to come through in Florida. And what part of
Yeah,
Florida?
I live in Miami Beach. We're doing our first Shapiro Capital event in March of this year. It's going to be at the Diplomat Hotel.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right, absolutely. I definitely will be there. And I definitely want to brainstorm with you because I like your mindset and I love surrounding myself around like-minded entrepreneurs. I allow no negativity in my life. And it's all about really, building great relationships. But I love providing
Amen.
hope to people, and hope stands for helping other people excel. And that's what I love to do. I think that's what I was actually born to do. And when you collaborate with other entrepreneurs and y'all actually are building and forming relationships where they turn out to be phenomenal, long-lasting business endeavors, you're going to be friends for a long time because especially when y'all actually are making money together, those individuals become your extended family.
Yep. 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 Well, I really
Mark, let's
appreciate it,
have a
and
comment.
can I use that hope? I'm going to use that.
Absolutely. You can use it. Absolutely.
Helping other people exceed helping other people exceed potential.
Helping other people excel.
Got it.
That's the acronym.
Helping other people helping
Absolutely.
other people excel. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mark, let's communicate and have a conversation about what it truly takes to be an entrepreneur. Now, the word entrepreneur means entrepreneur, and it was a Latin word, and it was invented in the 15th century in France. And a gentleman by the name of John Baptist, he invented the word, and over 300 years later, that word still exists, which is entrepreneur. So entre means between, and ponder means to take. So it means to take lower productivity and increase it to higher productivity. Can you explain to the audience how are you increasing your productivity in your current businesses?
So, if you want to scale your business, the day when I started my business, I bought my first deal in college. I had 58 units when I graduated college. I was a millionaire. When I left, I had a job at a bank for 18 months. When I left that bank and I started to sit at a desk, that was when I started to get wealthy. When I sat all day and figured out how to do deals, make them efficient, be smarter, and I was able to actually put people to work for me, and not for me, but with me, because we don't have employees, we have partners, and everybody works together, and we're a team. And that's how I do things. So, and
Wow.
absolutely, entrepreneurs, they see the value in something, they're driven, they have rituals, they see actually how to get through the difficulties, where somebody who's just a regular 9 to 5 guy, he sees all the negatives. The entrepreneur sees all the positives, and they see the blue sky. They're going there. They're not going here. They're going there. So,
Wow.
yep.
Mark, you basically educate entrepreneurs and business owners and active real estate investors across the globe on how they can succeed in a entrepreneurial industry, which is multifamily properties and single family properties. From your own
Yep.
experience, can you explain to the audience what is the best advice that you have ever received?
This is great advice from my first attorney. He closed my first 40 deals. His name was Robert F. Cohn. I talked to him this morning at 6:30 when I was at the gym. He still does legal work for me. So that means he's been doing work for me for over 41 years. I was there for his children's birth. I'm very close with the family. And I had a deal and I was short. And he told me, just ask. Do it respectfully. Tell them the truth. Tell them you need help. Don't say, help me. Tell them I need your help. And that was the greatest advice. So every time I ever needed to borrow money from a bank, I would call my banker and I would ask him to help me raise the capital versus I need a loan. So,
Do you have any last pearls of wisdom for the audience?
I got to tell you, the pearls of wisdom are coming from you. You're a tremendously astute, articulate, and I am looking forward to getting to know you better. Please, with Adrian, give Adrian your cell phone, because I'd like to send you a message that I send every Friday for Shabbat, because I take Friday off at sundown to sundown on Saturday, and I celebrate being Jewish, and I keep Shabbat called Shomer Shabbos, but I'd like to share that with you. Just a little bit about motivation and perspective. So.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you coming on my show today. And to everyone that's listening and watching right now, I highly recommend get involved with the phenomenal Mark Shapiro. And Mark, before we sign off, can you explain to the audience exactly where they can find you and your social media handles?
So you can find me at the Mark Shapiro on Instagram, the Mark Shapiro 1887 on YouTube, and the Mark Shapiro on TikTok, or Shapiro Capital on TikTok. And our website is M Shapiro Capital, and that will take you to our programs and what we do and who we are. So thank you for letting me
everyone
make that
that's
plug.
listening. Well, thank you, Mark. You are definitely a blessing from God.
Thank you. I think you are. So I'm the blessed one. Arthur, God bless.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. To everyone that's listening and watching right now, I highly recommend get involved with the phenomenal Mark Shapiro. Yeah, the passion that came through his voice on my show today. He broke down layman's terms about how to make money in multifamily property and how to develop the mindset of really succeeding in the real estate business. I let my driving time become my learning time. Listen to this interview and really hone in on the golden nuggets that Mark has revealed in this interview in regards to multifamily properties. And don't forget to go to his website. He has phenomenal content that can take your mindset and your business to a whole nother level. But remember, you have to implement what you learn. Knowledge is not power. The implementation of knowledge, that's what makes it become powerful. So to everyone that's listening and watching right now, remember that the strongest asset each and every one of you have is your brain, and what you think about and what you take action on, that will become your reality, and your mentality creates your reality. May God bless each and every one of you, and bye for now. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate you conveying value to my audience.
God bless. Thank you, brother.
To everyone that's listening and watching right now, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on. I'm going to be revealing more powerful business interviews that's going to take your mindset and elevate your awareness to a whole nother level. Once again, my name is Arthur Robinson Jr. I'm the creator and host of the Powerful Interviews podcast show. If you're looking to purchase a profitable business that's worth $15 million all the way up to $40 million and above, get involved with my network. Email me at arthurrobinson.king@gmail.com, and me and my team can help you to facilitate buying a profitable $20 million to a $30 million to a $40 million company. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Once again, this is Arthur Robinson Jr. I want each and every one of you to have a beautiful day. And always remember this, always put God first and always trust yourself. And bye for now.